the biblical march toward apocalypse is about to get even worse. It's a disaster that conjures up images of hell itself. Scientists at Yellowstone take measurements. Something strange is happening. Could it be the site of a future biblical disaster? Could it be part of the 7 signs?
And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain was cast into the sea.
In the second trumpet judgment, it talks about a great mountain falling into the ocean. That could be an asteroid, but it uses the term mountain, and then it uses the term fire. A mountain bursting out of the ocean, erupting with fire.
It's one of the most dangerous and destructive forces on Earth. Could one of the 7 signs be a volcano? A look back at ancient history provides a clue. The images of fire and brimstone that define hell were inspired by the flaming magma and sulfuric gas emitted by volcanoes. Like many violent natural events, volcanic eruptions are seen by our Christian ancestors as the result of God's wrath. Mount Vesuvius erupts in 79 AD. During the same period, John of Patmos writes the book of Revelation. The eruption buries the Roman city of Pompeii. Hot volcanic ash entombs thousands of victims for all time, frozen in their final agony. Many early Christians view this as God's punishment of the pagan Roman Empire, exacted for persecuting their Christian brethren.
A volcanic eruption is an indication that God is in control of the earth, that He is the one who controls these natural phenomena.
We know too well the power of volcanoes today. Mount St. Helens in 1980, Mount Pinatubo in 1991. These eruptions and countless others have caused humans pain and suffering on an immense scale. But for a volcanic eruption to be recognized today as among the 7 signs, it will have to be of unprecedented size and destructiveness.
The result of this great mountain-like object falling into the ocean is destroying life on planet Earth.
Are there, in fact, volcanoes large enough to cause such an apocalypse? Science now confirms that there are. And just as the prophecy describes, they can be hidden in oceans or even right below us. It's a phenomenon called supervolcanoes.
A supervolcano is any volcano that emits 100 cubic kilometers or more of ash in a single eruption.
That's about 100 to 150 times more than Mount St. Helens ejected in 1980. And there are supervolcanoes scattered across the globe.
Taupo in New Zealand, a popular fishing resort on the North Island. Santorini in the Aegean. The Campi Flegrei, just west of Naples, where several 100,000 people live.
There are at least 8 supervolcanoes around the world. But they're hard to find, since they usually don't take the form of a mountain.
Most volcanoes, when they erupt explosively, leave a crater, a violent expulsion of magma that blows its roof off. When a very large eruption occurs, it leaves something called a caldera, which is a much more structured, bowl-shaped depression that has relatively steep walls. It's typically tens of kilometers across, and it forms by a settling of the roof rocks down into what used to be the magma chamber.
There are several supervolcano calderas within the United States. One of the most beautiful sights may also pose the greatest threat of devastation.
Yellowstone is a large volcanic crater measuring 35 by 45 miles.
It's just shocking to imagine a single eruption that would evacuate so much magma and create a valley where there was nothing.
But that's exactly what happened at Yellowstone. More than once.
Yellowstone has had 3 very big eruptions that were hundreds of cubic kilometers or more.
However, believers examining the prophecy and scientists investigating the data do agree on one thing. If a supervolcano does erupt, our prospects will be bleak.
The first thing that would happen would be a series of minor eruptions. They don't erupt simultaneously around the entire circumference of the caldera. Instead, they punch a single hole through the edge of the caldera, and then they unzip the caldera rim by migrating that eruption center around its circumference.
Once this happens, the entire floor of the Yellowstone caldera will collapse. That will blast a gigantic column of scalding volcanic gas and ash up to 20 kilometers high into the atmosphere.
That cloud collapses in places and produces a ground-hugging mass of hot ash that runs perhaps several hundred miles down river valleys.
Anyone and anything within that range would almost certainly be buried and killed.
As we've learned from many previous eruptions, the victims suffer a terrible death.
What kills people is the ingestion of hot gases that cook you from the inside.
The ash that remains airborne is carried westward by the prevailing winds.
11 western states, including a substantial part of California, become blanketed in ash. You're looking at a destruction of the grain belt in the Midwest, upon which a substantial part of the world's population living at margin depends. And with that, then, a realignment of the geopolitical balance of power.
You know why? Because God's glory is not the main thing. Their comfort is. And we live in a generation that you know it. God's glory is not the main thing. We drive down our highways. God is the greatest reality in all the universe. Drive down the highways. Where's God? Where is he on the billboards? Where is he on the talk radio? Where is he on the television? Where is he? God's glory doesn't matter anymore. But hell wakes us up to it. Hell stares this humanistic mindset straight in the face. As one has said, it is like a brutal claw that just tears through the fabric of our humanistic thinking. It is exactly that. We need to hear about this.
To do not dress sensually in order to show off their bodies. If your clothing is a frame for your face, God is pleased with your clothing. If your clothing is a frame for your body, it's sensual and God hates what you're doing.
He's telling more of this horror. He says, but the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. Here he's saying it. It's a place of inky black, impenetrable darkness. You know, people are very uncomfortable in the dark. People don't like darkness. Jesus says in verse 12, outer darkness, impenetrable blackness of darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Keep going down to verse 28. And when he had come to the other side of the country of the Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, so exceedingly fierce that no one could pass that way. And suddenly they cried out, verse 29, and says, what have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Look at this. Now here's a testimony from the other side. This is from a non-human. This is from non-physical. This is from a non-temporal person living on this earth. This is from a demon, an immortal intelligence, a living spirit that has phenomenal powers, that are thousands of years old, that can travel through walls, that have been in the presence of God, that have been on this earth all the way through since creation. Okay? Look what this demon says. Have you come here to torment us before the time? You see, those demons know what humans fail to know, that there is a time coming and a torment coming and a judgment inescapable coming. But for the demons, there is no hope. There is no opportunity for salvation. They chose to go into rebellion with the devil and to deny God and go against him.
Do not plan on a deathbed conversion. Don't plan on changing tomorrow. How many of us make such plans? How many couples, for instance, have told so many priests, well, you know, I'm living in a bad marriage. Well, all I have to do is wait for my first wife to die, and then I can marry the one I'm with. What if you die first?